Oh yeah, part 2. We are sure to have some technical difficulties. I have some blue clips, some red clips, and I ain't talking about states, everybody. Go to earlymorningmob.com, like, comment, share, and download as much as you possibly can. That's the only way we get the way of the show out. Got a music show after this, which is the Golden Show. You go to earlymorningmob.com and check out everything we do.
Yeah, man, go to that shit, yo. earlymorningmob.com.
Get it in! All my misfits and all my golden people.
Fuck you, Vamps.
Deserves their mac and cheese.
Alright, so we'll just work with whatever clips we got.
Working with it.
Say fuck whatever we don't. Maybe I'll fucking hum a song. I'll tone freestyles for the rest of the allotted time.
Word, more snow. East Coast overdose.
Yeah, more coming Sunday. I don't know if it's the snow that burns or not, everybody. So we've heard of horse meat, pink slime, GMOs. How about silly putty type chemicals in our food, everybody?
All that ungodly shit.
Have a chemical from silly putty. Anthony sent me the story.
Deserves their mac and cheese.
We've heard about pink slime on this program. We've heard about mechanically separated chicken. We've talked about tuna scrape. We've talked about meat glue. What else have we spoken about?
Let's see. Beaver butt glands.
That's right.
Beaver butt juice in there,
which is a beaver anal
See, and the funny
gland
thing is, you could be the healthiest person in the world, eat vegan.
I'm sure there are others. Yeah,
if you got GMOs and there's fluoride in the water and
chemical
spraying shit, just bad fucking cars are letting off shit.
Stirring up discussion.
Breathing it in anyways.
It ain't good. Your body ain't filtering it out. You ain't no super buddy.
It belongs to a group of compounds commonly referred to as silicones. An application of the chemical range, it's applied to contact lenses, medical devices, shampoo, conditioner. It makes hair shiny and slippery. Caulking, which is not the type of thing you want to be eating. Heat-resistant tiles, polishes, cosmetics, and silly putty, something that actually may be non-toxic because lots of little kids actually do try to eat it, but is probably not particularly nutritious or healthy. The FDA does approve of this chemical as non-toxic, even though it is non-biodegradable, and its commercial use in breast implants has been decreased due to, quote, safety concerns. It is under Section 176.200 considered a defoaming agent and an acceptable additive to food. So here's how it's used in fast food that I mentioned. Domino's Pizza lists this in their breadsticks, their cheese bread, as well as in their garlic butter oil. Sounds delicious. And it's commonly used on most of their pizzas. McDonald's lists polydimethylsiloxane as an additive. Are you fucking me up while I'm trying to do the show? What was that?
I just pulled up right now on CNN that George Zimmerman and DMX will be in a boxing match.
The FDA says that it is generally
celebrity boxing match.
Safe in food. That term generally is kind of like
kind of sharing down on.
It can mean a lot. It can mean a little, and it can mean nothing at all.
So I'm going to lower David Pakman clip a little bit. Do you remember Mr. Wizard growing up? I know you do.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Now, he was that G. He was kind of rude to the kids, now that I think about it, but, you know, he was spitting that knowledge. He has this little theory that I find interesting. It doesn't work as well, the audio, but I had to play the clip. First off, I was looking for mad Mr. Wizard clips, and I found this one. Now, he took a cup of water, and he filled it up with ice cubes and water, and then he filled it straight up to the brim of the water till there was no more, you know, anymore, it'd be overflowing. He dried the whole table of water, and then they came back to see, right? What's going to happen when the ice melts? Is it going to make it more water and overflow?
Yeah.
Or no, because the water displaces. We'll let Mr. Wizard break it down. But it's something that could be true with the ice caps and these fucking scientists that always have universities behind them and funding to flip it one way. I know for a fact there's too many people and too much pollution, but I don't know. The ice cap shit, dude. All the ice and all the water, the volume that's ever been on the planet's here. It ain't going nowhere. It turns from solid to liquid. I don't know. It's interesting, though.
Get that mac and cheese, everybody.
Unless there's real global warming, that the energy of the sun will melt it and turn it into steam and oxygen.
Yeah. Sticking over the top.
Vaporizes. I don't know.
Okay, next.
Then again, we don't know shit. That's why we're podcasters.
And fill them both almost full of water.
Get that mac and cheese, everybody. Deserves their mac and cheese.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers faked it at the Super Bowl.
Hoffman had no fin in his system.
Yeah, and Clay Aikens is trying to go for Congress.
I don't know. This don't make no sense to everybody.
Okay. Now you notice I'm wiping off the table so there's not a drop of water on it.
Okay.
And I will wipe off this plate so there's not a drop of water on it.
Why?
Well, you'll find out in just a moment, because I would like you now to use this long medicine dropper and take water from there and fill it, this glass, so that it's right to the very brim with water.
Okay.
Don't let it overflow, but get it right to the very top. Aha! That's it. Okay. Move these out of the way. Wipe everything up so there's no water anyplace. Now my question is, as the ice melts, will the water overflow over the top of the glass?
I think so.
Why?
Well, because like you have the water, and the water is filled to the top, and then you have the ice also, and like I think while the ice melts, it'll just overflow.
Okay, that's one theory, and that's definitely a theory, right?
Yeah.
You know what a theory is. Well, there's another theory, which I would like to advance and see how you like that. As you know, ice expands when it freezes as compared to water. That's why ice floats, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, as the ice condenses, in other words, goes back into water, it should take up less space. Therefore, the water level will drop.
Okay, yeah, I see.
That's theory 2.
Yep.
Okay. Now, there's a third theory. Obviously, the volume of the water is taking into consideration the ice that we've got in there. So as it melts, it's not going to change at all, because the volume has already got that ice floating.
Okay, I see.
That's the third theory. Which one do you think?
Fucking vampire motherfuckers. They know karate. We know Aikido.
Yeah.
Like how much here down.
Now that's why I wanted to wipe up everything.
Hassan Chump.
We're going to let it sit there very carefully and melt. It'll take about 2 hours. Can we be back in 2 hours?
There's other guys, what they look like. I don't know.
Okay.
This don't make no sense to everybody.
That motherfucker was putting his fingers in it shit as soon as he left. Ah, fuck your experiment.
Finger bang.
Ah, you're right on time. 2 hours. You're very punctual. Are you usually?
Most of the time.
Okay. There's the glass that had the ice in it. Don't touch the counter now.
It didn't melt.
And your theory is that it was going to melt and flow over the top, right?
Yeah.
And why was that?
Well, the ice, like it was floating above the top of the glass, so I thought
Get
it
that
would
mac
melt.
and cheese, everybody.
That was one theory. That was no good. Now, the second theory was that the ice
Fucking
expanded
theory.
Word.
as it would change from water to ice.
Yeah.
Therefore, it took up less space. So that as it melted, it would take up less space, so the water level ought to drop.
Yeah.
Do you not know I am an ancient science theorist?
Third theory. You remember now I told you that as you added water to the ice,
As you added.
float, the level of the water
The levels are.
Lazarus hasn't fun with science. Let's get into some of these science clips.
As it melted, the water level is going to stay exactly the same.
Now I told Tone to go look up this name. CARRA space Santa Maria. Karen Santa Maria. She's a scientist type chick, and she's mega hot. Chicks that are that smart ain't supposed to be that hot. But she got it, and these are interesting clips, so we'll run them back to back.
Lies straight from the pit of hell.
That is Paul Brown, a congressman from Georgia and member of the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. An interesting appointment for a guy who apparently doesn't believe in science. No, he doesn't believe that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Its actual age, a figure most school children can cite. He, like some of his colleagues, is a young Earth creationist. Along with an embarrassing 46% of Americans, he believes Earth is less than 10,000 years old. Probably because of a 17th century archbishop who claimed to know the exact date creation began. October 23rd, 4004 BC. So today, I'd like to take you on a little journey back to the very beginning of time, when Earth was in its infancy, all the way back 6,000 years ago.
Carrie, you going out with that Bill Moore? That ain't God.
That ain't God.
Deserves their mac and cheese.
It was the end of the Ube
Get that
marked
mac.
by 1,500 years of beautiful pottery production. The plow was invented around this time, and so was complex arithmetic. Over in Egypt, the Bedarian and Nakeda cultures.
All I know is a lot of people complaining about Well, there is no work, but when there was work, people complained about work was too hard. Let me see you motherfucking sawing shit with one guy on one end, one guy on the other way, other side. That's how they fucking saw back then. There wasn't no power saws. People were chiseling shit. You know chisel. People were chiseling shit.
Hopefully, I've made my point. I mean,
tell me to go. Now it's
Christian
just easy as that.
EarlyMorningMob.com. Golden Debate Show.
Listen to what he said on his CBN show, The 700.
People are probably trying to lynch me when I say
Cara St. Marie, I love you.
Bishop Usher, God bless him, wasn't inspired by the Lord when he said it all took 6,000 years.
The Lord has spoken to us, and He has said, "Let the plate bring it to gold." The lack of cheering it down. The evil is good.
Have been voted out of office this year. Here we go. In memoriam, Representative Todd Akin of Missouri's 2nd District.
It seems to me, first of all, from what I understand from doctors, that's really rare. If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
Science. Representative Joe Walsh of Illinois' 8th
already. It's just
a woman's life is at issue. Would you say she should be allowed to have an abortion?
Let me briefly say there's no such exception. With modern technology and science, you can't find one instance.
Do you mean to say it's never medically necessary to do an abortion to save the life of the mother?
Absolutely.
Indiana State Treasurer Richard Murdoch, who was defeated in the Indiana Senate race.
Life is that gift from God, and I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that it is something that God intended to happen.
But Brown, the guy who thinks evolution, embryology, and the Big Bang Theory are lies from the pit of hell, is still with us. He ran unopposed in the 2012 election, although Charles Darwin, his fiercest write-in competition, won 4,000 votes.
The networks have shown a steady pattern of bias on climate change. During a 6-month period, 4 out of 5 network news reports failed to acknowledge any dissenting views about global warming, according to a Business and Media Institute study. The network should tell Americans the truth rather than hide the facts.
And that is Lamar Smith, a verified climate change denier. He's our next chairman of the House Science Committee, which has jurisdiction over the United States Geological Survey, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, NASA, and the National Science Foundation. And Brown and Smith aren't alone. Honestly, there are too many anti-science politicians still in office to even know. We're still stuck with James Inhofe, climate-denying senator from Oklahoma.
The assertion that global warming is occurring today, and it's occurring because of the release of CO2 and anthropogenic gases, methane, and such as that. That's not a. Those people are. It's really a hoax, which I said way back in 2000. This became quite a charge to a lot of people. A hoax that is the fact that all this is happening is due to man-made gases. I really believe it's the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people.
Oh, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio was recently interviewed by GQ magazine.
At the end of the day, I think there are multiple theories out there on how the universe was created, and I think this is a country where people should have the opportunity to teach them all. I think parents should be able to teach their kids what their faith says, what science says. Whether the Earth was created in 7 days or 7 actual eras, I'm not sure we'll ever be able to answer that. It's one of the great mysteries.
Of course, since we started production on this video, Senator Rubio recanted his statement, saying that there's no scientific debate about the age of the Earth, and he knows it's 4.5 billion years old. Whether out of embarrassment, political pressure, or maybe he just came to his senses, his little gaffe isn't what bothers me. It's this cop-out.
I'm not a scientist, man. I don't think I'm qualified to answer a question like that.
That is so cheap. Not qualified? You're not an economist either, but you seem to have a lot to say about American finances. Do you have a degree in international affairs? Did you go to West Point? Have you even served in the military? Maybe you shouldn't be making policy decisions about national defense.
So as we get done with this clip, we'll play the next clip.
Get a clue.
And this one has Neil Tyson in it. He's an astrophysicist. He's a very interesting person. But this is another clip of Baby Girl. Cara St. Marie, I love you.
I'm here today at the American Museum of Natural History, and I'm about to go speak with astrophysicist Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm really interested to hear about some of the mysteries of the universe that baffle even him.
Carl Calzone, Two-Tone Tortellini, Golden Debate Show. We're about to hit you with the Golden Show after this. It's the music show. Earlymorningbot.com.
Break it down. The night sky through a telescope. 4% of the universe.
Yeah, even the things that we can't really see through
that's still in the 4%.
Telescope.
That's even in the 4%. All the invisible stuff that you can see with a different kind of telescope, that's in the 4%. Yeah. So that's one thing. Here's another one, a little more philosophical.
Okay.
We define ourselves as intelligent. That's odd because we're doing the definition. We're creating our own definition
Sure.
and saying we are intelligent.
Yeah.
Would another species say that about us that calls themselves intelligent? Look at the genetic difference between us and chimps. It's very small.
Very small.
But we say, well, what a difference that is, we say to ourselves. We compose poetry and have philosophy and music, and all they can do
It
is
makes
stick
no raps. Check it out, Kryptonite.
If you could find another species, that same 1% difference in DNA beyond us, that we are beyond
Two different
chimps,
stories.
how would we look to them? Our smartest humans would do what their toddlers can do.
Yeah.
And it's not clear that they would view us as intelligent at all.
You're pretty confident that there is life in the universe besides
Anyone
ourselves.
who study the problem will conclude that. But given how old the universe is,
Just based on probability.
how prevalent the chemistry of life is. Look at biochemistry. It's got carbon and nitrogen and oxygen. These are all over the universe.
Sure.
Water is all over the universe.
And it's very difficult for some people to come to grips with the fact, and say, well, we must be so special. When really, perhaps we're not that special at all.
Perhaps we've never been visited by aliens because they have looked upon Earth and decided there's no sign of intelligence.
Yeah, check out the Golden Show and the Golden Debate Show.
A really hard time. And
if you don't know, now you know.
Grasping the concept of there being more than 3 dimensions.
You're like, comment, share, and download.
And I sometimes wonder when I talk to physicists like yourself, do you have some sort of special skill in your brain that I do not possess? Can you see these things?
It's called the 4-Dimensional Club, and you're not invited.
Sure.
Who isn't interested in thinking about higher dimensions? I mean, it's science. The way you get insight is to look at dimensions lower than what you occupy. Okay, so imagine an insect that's trapped in a sheet of paper. That's 2 dimensions, right? And I want to put that insect in jail.
Okay.
What do? Just draw a square around it.
Sure.
Can't get out. You say, yes, you can. Just climb up over this. Nope, not allowed.
Yeah.
That requires a 3rd dimension. If you only exist in 2 dimensions, you have no concept of that 3rd dimension. It's not even accessible to you.
Sure.
All it takes to put a bug in prison is a square. What does it take to put a human in prison? A cube. But a higher dimensional character would say, just step out of the cube and then back into, you're there.
Yeah.
That requires a 4th dimension to access.
If you had to pick one thing, the most awe-inspiring thing about the
So as we let this clip come to an end, the next clip's very interesting. Bill Nye, the science guy, debated with a guy called, his last name's Ham, and one's a evolutionist and another one's a creationist. So let's get it in with the Golden Debate Show.
Manufactured elements on the periodic table.
Okay.
Each became a core, scattered them across the galaxy. And it's these very elements that are the building blocks for life itself. So that it is not just a figuratively true statement that in fact we are stardust. It is literally true.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Happy to be here.
Okay. I feel sorry already, and I definitely feel like I might hopefully gain entry to the 4th dimension.
Keep a handshake off camera.
Now, Mr. Ham and his followers have this remarkable view of a worldwide flood that somehow influenced everything that we observe in nature. A 500-foot wooden boat, 8 zookeepers for 14,000 individual animals. I ask us all, is that really reasonable?
We're not saying God created all those species. We're saying God created kinds.
Two different
and we're not
stories.
saying species got on the ark. We're saying kinds. In fact, we've had researchers working on what is a kind. For instance, there's a number of papers published on our website. They have predicted probably less than actually 1,000 kinds were on Noah's Ark. Which means just over 2,000 animals, and the average size of a land animal is not that big. So, there was plenty of room on the ark.
Bill not a science guy, motherfucker. Golden Debate Show, time to go. Tweet over there, boy.
2,000 years from Abraham to Christ, 2,000 years from Christ to the present 2,000 years. That's how we get 6,000 years.
If we go to California, we find enormous stands of bristlecone pines. Some of them are over 6,000 years old, 6,800 years old. How could these trees be there if there was an enormous flood just 4,000 years ago?
How did the atoms that created the Big Bang get there?
This is a great mystery. You've hit the nail on the head. No, this is so, what was before the Big Bang? This is what drives us. This is what we want to know. Let's keep looking. Let's keep searching. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. To us, this is wonderful and charming and compelling. This is what makes us get to go to work every day, is to try to solve the mysteries of the universe.
I don't know if 9 minutes is considered a closer, but the greatest closer in Golden Show history has arrived. Capital Letter TV for the Golden Debate Show.
You know, because I got to play the role of middle believer and closer nowadays.
Golden Debate Show, RhythmOneMouth.com, Couples in the building.
He made it, kid.
This one's about Bill Nye the Science Guy debating with another guy about Darwinism and creative.
I watched that shit.
I kind of like Bill Nye, but I don't know.
Bill Nye goes sick, though.
Matter, when you look at it, we have information and language systems that build life, not just matter.
How did consciousness come from matter?
Don't know. This is a great mystery. But the joy of discovery, that's what drives us. The joy of finding out what's going on. So we don't know where consciousness comes from, but we want to find out. Furthermore, I'll tell you it's deep within us. The nature of consciousness is a mystery. I challenge the young people here to investigate that very question.
Bill, I do want to say that there is a book out there that does document where consciousness came from. And in that book, the one who created us said that he made man in his image.
Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has just admitted that American citizens rounded up and put into FEMA concentration camps, of course having our civil liberties violated, the Constitution and Bill of Rights completely decimated under the disguise of national security if the war on terror were to escalate. I think he probably sees the writing on the wall here. Justice Antonin Scalia is a conservative, and he was just speaking to the University of Hawaii Law School, where he was talking about how Japanese Americans were rounded up in America, over 100,000 of them, and put into, just internment camps after the attack on Pearl Harbor. And so he said to the University Law School, quote, "You are kidding yourself if you think the same thing will not happen again." Oh, I thought that FEMA camps were just a conspiracy theory. I thought that detaining American citizens was just something that we did during World War II. Many Americans just have no idea that that even happened to about 127,000 Japanese Americans, mainly on the West Coast and in Hawaii, after President Roosevelt just signed an executive order, just Executive Order 9066. I mean, this is right off of the historychannel.com, history.com. I thought the FEMA camps were just a conspiracy theory. Glenn Beck over there, when he was working for the Fox News channel, said that he was going to expose the FEMA camps. Many of you probably saw this. If not, go and check out Glenn Beck's FEMA camp backflip, where earlier in the day he was warning frantically he's going to expose the FEMA camps. And then later on his show, he said that it's just a conspiracy theory. Oh, yeah, just a conspiracy theory. Oh, don't worry about that. FoxNews.com posted an article debunking the myths about FEMA camps. Oh, don't worry about that. But wait, what's this? Oh, New Jersey launched some FEMA camps to save the residents after Hurricane Sandy. Oh, FEMA shelter. This is on CBSNews.com. FEMA shelter camps providing assistance. Oh, I thought that was just a conspiracy theory. Oh, but they're just for the people to help. They're just to help people, right? Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, yes. Remember Guantanamo on the Hudson? Many people may be too young to have remembered. My audience is growing, and more people, younger folks, are waking up every day. But 10 years ago now, back in the 2004 Republican National Convention, the RNC, in New York City, they rounded up hundreds of protesters, maybe over 1,000, and put them into a FEMA camp on the Guantanamo Bay, on the Hudson River. They called it Guantanamo on the Hudson. It was in an old bus depot, this place, which had secretly been turned into a FEMA detention center. You can see the protesters here.
Shut up already. It's just, this is science.
All right, folks. I'm barbed wire fence and a full secret prison.
Geology report of
bunch
Bud
of protesters
Shelton.
There, and just plastic handcuffs.
Originally did
This
a
is
geological
inside a
report on the rock wall. Shelton originally had stated he thought the wall was a man-made creation, but then reneged on that once he started finding out how old it was. But I came across something here. I thought I would put this video up because this is absolute proof. I already proved it in my new film, The Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 2, which is on sale right now. But it says right here in black and white.
Two different stories.
Geological report on the rock wall. The main contention from the History Channel was that the paleomagnetic data said that it was a natural formation. Science! Based on the
Shut up already. It's just
magnetic signature going in a uniform area. But what they did not include was, as I stated in the film, the mineral composition of the wall. And that is where the problem lies. If you do not name or state what the mineral composition of the wall is to the person who is doing the paleomagnetic survey, they are going to get incorrect results. And this is absolute proof that the History Channel is lying with their conclusion that the wall is a natural formation, because it says in black and white right here, ladies and gentlemen, that because these wall stones contain so much quartz actually gives a magnetic signature that goes in a uniform fashion. Let's read this. It says, the author proposes that the presence of earlier crystallization, elevated spotted orientated concentration of magnetic mineral crystalline silts grains and associated remnants is proof of the material's igneous origin and later calcite matrix crystallization. Now, he's still coming from the standpoint that this is somehow natural, but listen, just pay attention to this. He's talking about the paleomagnetic data. He says this is in keeping with paleomagnetic igneous material crystallization and orientation with the Earth's dipole magnetic field. Once Curie point is reached, for each of the respective magnetic grains, the difference noted in this case is the randomness of the fields within the bulk material. Now right there he says the randomness of the magnetic field within this material. Now the History Channel stated that if it was random, then it would have to be a man-made creation, or creation made by someone, maybe not necessarily man, but by somebody. Okay.
Shut
but
up
that was their whole
already.
basis. Now let's keep going here. Now it says right there, note he says right there that the magnetic field in the rock wall is random. The concentration of magnetic grains within the bulk material is higher than locally sourced sandstones and could conceivably achieve or supply, as is the occasional remnants hotspot orientations. The molecular domains, I skipped some, the local deeper stratigraphy position sandstones are chiefly non-magnetic. This is a direct analogy to a typical magnetic material prior to magnetization.